Okay. Hello. Let's get this together here. Just going to get comfortable. All right. So, welcome everyone. My name is Jordan Johnson from JoJoEmpathic.com. I'm a psychic medium. And I have a special message for you guys today. Something that's been coming up, recurring the past month really intensely, but this is something that we see in the media and social media very often, especially in the past few years. So this message is titled How to Escape the Trad Wife Matrix. Please like, subscribe, drop a comment. Today's an interesting show because you can actually post your questions in the live chat if anyone would like to join, and I will answer your questions about this message directly here live now. Now, I'm also offering psychic mediumship readings. So if you tune in and maybe you need an immediate reading, you want to connect with your spirit guides, your higher mind, your loved ones on the other side, pets, I'm opening this show to answer any of those questions. And basically anything's on the table. So you could ask about work, career, relationships, health, whatever questions are on your heart for spirit, I will channel the message for you. So it's $10 for one question with a 3-minute live answer. If you are watching this as a replay and you would like an email reading in that nature of like one question, 3-minute answer, I do offer email readings that you can purchase right at jojoempathic.com or through my Etsy shop, Jojo Empathic. Okay, so let's go ahead with a few announcements. I also put in the description box where to send the payment to. So PayPal, Venmo, Cash App at Jojo Empathic. Another announcement that I have is that I am training healers. It's been really exciting the past year to develop a method. And I've officially launched my Earth Angel Virtual Healing Center. So this is an offering for the healers that I work with and train to help give them a platform to get their business out there and for all of us to stay connected. So these Earth Angels are actually part of my prayer team. So if you have a prayer request, you can go ahead and send your prayer request to us and we will pray over your request. You can send your prayer request to supportangel at jojoempathic.com and you will receive a reply once the prayers have been sent. So check out the ES Center to perhaps find a healer that works for you. I also offer private readings and healings in Reiki. If you are seeking, one-on-one counsel or channeled messages from spirit in a private setting, you can book a reading with me at jojoempathic.com. So I'm excited to work with you. I'm always accepting new clients and specifically working and trying to attract healers or aspiring healers to work with me so that you can work aside me and join me at the ES Center. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and get into this message. I find this whole trad wife movement actually quite disturbing. I think that the white Christian nationalists have tainted something that's super beautiful. So I want to start there. I don't want to go into this message and say, don't be a trad wife, don't aspire to be that, because I think that being a traditional trad wife is actually very beautiful. I think it's very inspiring. I love the idea of a woman being the center of her home, cooking home cooked food for her children, providing in that context, in that way, nutrients and spiritual support and counsel. I love the concept of a woman taking care of her home and making it homey and inviting. I love the concept of a woman aligning and being submissive to a husband. I love all of those concepts of being a trad wife. So if you didn't know, a trad wife is typically just what I just went over. It's someone that is more so dedicated towards being a wife and a mother and a homemaker versus going out and maybe working in an office or going and being very career driven. A trad wife is typically seen through the lens of a religion. Um, and that's where I think it starts to get a bit disturbing and where something so beautiful has been tainted. So again, I do think it's just such a beautiful thing to have that opportunity to be a trad wife. I myself am, I would consider myself a homemaker. Um, I love interior design. I actually sold furniture, and one of my mentors is actually trademarked the name Duchess of Decor from the mayor of Buffalo. She's an interior designer. Um, I love to talk about furniture and homes and making things homey and getting the energy in rooms right. I like to read properties. So I'm all about that. And I also love to cook. I love making things from scratch. When I have children, I plan to make everything from scratch. I grew up eating everything from scratch. My dad never let us eat McDonald's, like, or the boxed macaroni and cheese. We weren't allowed to eat that. That was something that, it was kind of snuck to me, like on my mom's side, but everything was homemade when I grew up. Different times, of course, this was the 90s, but nonetheless, I enjoy cooking. I also love to bake, whether it's like sweets or breads or desserts. I love baking. I also love to cook for people. I love to cook for my family, for my friends. I love to bake for my friends and family. I was the girl in the car dealership that would bring in cookies for everybody because I just enjoy it. I also like to clean. Um, I like to keep things organized and to make an environment, an atmosphere cleansed and neat and orderly. I'm just really good at that. I also love children. I love babies. I was a nanny for a very long time. Children gravitate towards me. I love teaching children, lifting them up, empowering them. And also within a relationship with men, I feel that I'm more comfortable as the submissive type. Now, this doesn't mean when he says go jump off a bridge, I go jump off. This is more of the sexual dynamic. This is more of that power dynamic of where I do like where a man can step in and lead and be in that dominant masculine energy. However, what I've had to do, I may fit the perfect type of woman that would be great for a trad wife, but I'm not so much the perfect trad wife because that image that matrix, the construct of a trad wife does not resonate with my soul. I feel that you can be a woman and love to be a homemaker, but still be extremely passionate about career and also single. I think that it's important to not give up your power to these constructs, these matrices, these titles, interpretations, because it's very limiting to your consciousness and your power. So for me, I have the rebel archetype. I am Aquarius. I'm also Scorpio and Leo. So that's a very hard to contain energy. It's very free flowing. It's very futuristic in thought. It's liberal. And that's my true essence is someone that is a homemaker, but is also that can't be put into a box. Okay. So we have to know who we are, and we can't fixate on trying to conform to just a limited title and role. You can be both a trad wife and you can also or have the aspects of a trad wife and also be really dominant in other areas of your life, like have a strong career, have a public career. Maybe you want to be in a same sex marriage. That's okay too. Maybe you want to raise your children single. That should be okay too. What's happening is with Pluto shifting in Aquarius that we are all feeling really intensely right now. This is a revolution. It's also a time where the patriarchy begins to fall and the matriarchy begins to rise. This is what the sky says. This is what the sky reads, what ancient prophets have prophesied for these skies in these times, and it's happening. So we see more women rising in the workforce. Women, by statistics, make a lot more money than certain groups of men, demographics of men these days. We are graduating from universities and colleges more. Our rights we have rights when they were more limited in the 1900s. We had to have a husband to vote or ask him to vote. And we were really in a place of restriction due to the patriarchy. And this started way before the 1900s. Women were powerful healers since the start of time. We're the first teacher of the baby growing in our womb. We teach man first, okay? So we, back in thousands of years ago, were in places of power, and we can see this this concept through different tribes around the world. And we were the midwives. We were teaching other women, how to track their cycles. We were teaching women how to heal themselves with different homemade natural remedies and spells and tinctures. We were teaching women how to pray and manifest and conjure what we want in with our goals and dreams. And this was a real threat to many men. There was also a major concept with women where when we were in power, where we could have sex with whoever we wanted to without judgment. And it was more common for women to, you could say in this day, it's called promiscuous for a woman, not for a man. It's normal for a man to sleep around. But for a woman, we would have orgies where we would have all of these men trying to please us, and then we'd pick our husband. And you can see this over walls, ancient walls, in different temples. It's like orgies, and it's all centered around her. It's all centered around her, not so much him. If you think about a woman's body, how beautiful she is to look at, we think of a man, it's not so sexy, okay? So we had all of this power, we had this authority, we could heal ourselves, we could manifest. And this was a threat, especially during times of different extraterrestrials. I'll look at woo woo here, coming into the planet and trying to take control, different lower entity beings more rooted in ego and logic, trying to control and possess people for an agenda movement on the planet. As well as if we look to history, when we began to be more hunters and gatherers, this is also where there was a big push for the male dominance to step forward. And what happened is things got twisted. We were then deemed as witches. We were then burned at the stake. We were forced to cut our hair. We were forced to let go of our sacred spiritual tools that we used. We were silenced. Our children were taken from us. We were forced to submit to the Bible or Christianity or religions. And if not, we were ostracized or demonized or killed. So that's where there was this huge switch. Now we can see where the patriarchy has led us. The left brain logical egotistical man brings us into war. It also, that mindset brings us into suffering, division, separation, and it can be a very greedy siphoning energy. So that's what's been reigning for several hundred years now, is this patriarchy, and with a limiting of the power of women. So back to the 1900s, we were seeing, especially in America, women having to fight for the right to vote, having to fight for the right to get a loan from a bank, having to fight for the right of their health care, um, which is absurd. And in today's world, in certain areas, highlighting the Middle East, there are a lot of countries that still limit the rights of women, making them be completely covered, making them, not be able to speak in public. That's a thing, where there is still, public executions that, by the way, Charlie Kirk was all for. That's a side note. This is September 2025 that I'm making this message, okay? That exists today. That exists. But what I'll claim to you is that that's the last hurrah. And we're seeing across the world the last hurrah of these psychic vampires in places of power, reigning through the male patriarchy, trying to limit the freedom of women and people, trying to hold on the last grip of the patriarchy power. So we're getting like the bottom of the barrel people in power right now, the most corrupt of the corrupt, okay? The people you wouldn't want to invite over for dinner, the MAGAs, okay? The Nazis are in places of power, and they are coming after women. They have an agenda to 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 bring, whatever kind of negativity or lies they can to any woman in power, especially if she's a woman of color. They are limiting the rights of women in healthcare. And I'll give you an example of MAGA. I know of someone that had, this is someone, a white woman, Catholic, MAGA. And this woman had gender affirming care, but still votes against it for other people. Her claim is she's a woman, she can have gender care, right? But other people can't have gender affirming care. Really interesting. Within the same family, a sister raises a child from a foster parent without a husband, without a man, but doesn't vote for other women to maybe have same-sex marriages. Do you see where I'm going with this? This is the ideology of MAGA. This is the ideology of the women that will not stand with us in the revolution for equal rights for people, that will not stand with us in the revolution for human rights, for celebration of diversity, for inclusion of all people, including the disabled and the elderly. Okay? Not all women are going to fight with us, ladies. Some women are going to hide under this white Christian nationalist movement and promote that their way is the only way. They can have the gender affirming care, not everyone else. They can be the single mother and do this way, not everyone else. Okay? Now, this family I'm thinking of, they also only vote for one reason. They're pro-life, which is so narrow-minded and ignorant. If this was a real Christian or Catholic, they would be able to speak with the spirits and the spirit babies and know that we sign on to earth. An abortion is a soul's contract, the baby's soul, which is not technically a baby. So we're doing all of this they're trying to do something for a higher good, but it's not. What it leads to is the end of human rights for women, the end of healthcare rights for women, which we do need. So it's a complete hypocrisy, but I want to reiterate again, not all women will stand with us. And they tend to be the ones that fall under wanting to be a trad wife and wanting to push this ideology on everyone else as the only way and the best way. Okay. It's dangerous what is happening right now, and it is disturbing. Again, tainting something so beautiful and making it almost irresistible. Like you don't even want to go down that route now. But ladies, this message is for you. If you resonate with the concepts of being a trad wife, be one, but don't completely conform to the whole matrix concept of where you just have to bow down to some man and let him take your power and have, what did Charlie Kirk say? Have a whole bunch of babies by 25. That is so siphoning and limiting of our power. So how do you escape this trad wife matrix? How do you do it? Number one, you have to see that it's a matrix. It's a construct. You have to understand, that the Bible was tainted. It was manipulated by a patriarchy. If you look into King James' story, he was a witch hunter. He had a personal vendetta with witches that he claimed killed one of his wives. So we have to understand that there is a lot of non-truths in some of the books that are what the masses adhere to, blindly submit to. You have to have awareness and educate yourself outside of what you've been taught. So once you begin to reprogram your mind and religiously deconstruct, this is how you have a freer mind and a freer heart. Once you're in that state, that's where your spiritual sovereignty begins to really get stronger. From that state, you begin to see the aspects of a trad wife, the aspects of a businesswoman, the aspects of Whatever type of archetypal energy that you want to embody, you pick and choose. You take some traits from this and you take some traits from that. And you put it together and you walk in that new identity. I was almost groomed as a child to be a trad wife. Okay. So I was the girl that went to two different summer camps that were Christian summer camps, and one was strictly on being celibate until you get married, waiting for your husband. Okay. I was into all the Disney movies, and that programmed my mind in such a distorted way that my focus for so long was, when am I going to get married? When am I going to find my husband? When am I going to find the one? And I'm making this message because I see this as a common problem with women when they come in for readings, hypnotized, so drawn to just, when is he coming? When is he coming to save me? When is my husband coming to make me happy, to pay my bills, to do, make sure I can just sit around with my feet up? Win, 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 win. You have to realize that this is why maybe your manifestation isn't working, because your authentic self doesn't align with that. You have to learn to stop giving your power away to a false matrix. I got older, and I was so warped on, when am I going to meet him? I'm going to stay pure for him. And then I meet him. I meet men. Ladies, drop a comment if you know what I'm talking about. Meeting some other woman's sick son. Meeting somebody's baby daddy who's sick, mentally ill, disconnected from his true self. This is what the dating pool is like. It's religious men, it's sick men, and it's not a pool of men that are free thinkers. They don't know how to start new ways of education, new ways of thinking. They're afraid to go out on a limb. A lot of these men, when I meet a man and he's just like, what's your IG? What's your Instagram? I'm just like, oh my God, I'm not for you, because that's the way that men think. They just want to see you on Instagram, and they want to, that's how they get their view of you and their projection and judgment. And usually there's a lens there, so they won't even be able to read you accurately a lot of the time. Okay, so that's what's going on with these men. And that's the hamster wheel they're stuck on, is looking good, Instagram, travel blog. That's all there is to them, nothing really very deep. That, or they're looking for the Christian wife, someone that can read the Bible with them and maybe teach them something. The men right now, they're really stuck on going to church, going to college, playing sports, vlogging about it, getting a job, getting married, get the house, get the dog, get on the highway in traffic, go on vacation and film it, repeat, 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 and retire and die. It's so basic. That is a matrix. That's a construct. If you're here today, you are trying to free your mind, or you live in alignment with a free mind and free heart. That's not for us. So these people are predictable. And ladies, if you are a free mind, you want to stay away from these type of men, because again, it's super predictable. They're not thinking for themselves. And if you're a parent raising a child from a spiritual perspective of conscious conception, why not push for the child to instead of like going to college, to creating the college? Instead of pushing for the child, what do you want to be when you grow up? A firefighter, the military, all the same thing, a nurse? Instead of pushing that, why don't you push, what problem are you going to solve in this world? Do you get them books on entrepreneurship, tax law, so they can actually get ahead outside of the construct? So many of our parents just pushed us to be in the matrix. I know in my family, you're in the matrix, you're subservient, you're praised. These are the people that get hand claps. People that are clocking in every day. People that are able to just go to school and not question it. A woman that's an entrepreneur, such as myself and my family, is not celebrated. I am demonized. I'm not heard. I'm the family messenger of death. They don't get that. They don't know how we can get ahead and prevent tragedy by sitting in a tribe and having the seer channel. It's that's not respected because people don't know how to think for themselves. That's one of the biggest things I see is that a lot of times when people are met with someone that's spiritual, they say they'll stonewall, they'll cut you off, they'll block the conversation. They can't get down because they don't know how to think for themselves because the thought is already put in there for them. And this is what the masses are doing. So if you are trying to escape the tradwife matrix, you have to see the world this way, and you can't be afraid to step outside of the box and think for yourself. It's not easy, and you may be alone. Everyone else is doing what's predictable. The baby showers, the gender reveals, the bridal showers, the weddings. Oh, 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 for him. And, that's why are we aspiring to be that? Okay. Because we get into these contracts with men, and I see this time and time again, and women fall sick. They fall very sick because they've just signed a contract with a karmic soulmate. And that's where it gets more serious. That's where the medical system has also failed us by not explaining that contracts do play a role in our health, our accidents, our injuries, our financial wealth, not just our health, our financial health. Okay? So many different areas. Our children. Okay? Contracts are super important, ladies. And if you can try to reprogram your mind to be very cautious before you run into these contracts with men. I remember when I was like 21 or 22 years old, I think I had 5 different guys propose to me in a year. It was just like I was getting hit. It was in my life contract that there was a destined marriage. And I did end up marrying one, but it ended in an annulment. So it's not legally, technically, a marriage. Okay. But that did something to me. It showed me my power. And it also showed me who the heck I really am when I'm magnetic. Okay. And it opened up the door because, sometimes they say, like, what we don't want what we can have. Well, we want what we don't have. That's like human psychology. That made me realize how special getting into a marriage contract will actually be with a man. It made me go in. I broke up with if you guys didn't know, I've never had a boyfriend as an adult. Okay, so I've never really been married as an adult. Um, I told you it was an annulment before. I've never really had a marriage that was authentic. I've never had a boyfriend that was really authentic. My last boyfriends that I had were more long term, but earlier in my life, like early adulthood, from maybe 15 to 20, 21-ish. And I realized something, thankfully, that these men were a reflection of myself in a sense. And it wasn't good. It was toxic and it wasn't grounding. So I set out on a journey, and I'm in my early 30s now. So over the past decade, I've been single and dedicated towards my healing journey. I will tell you, I have not had one elder, not one woman older than me in my family say, congratulations on that. Good for you. Don't let them have it. But I have been told by older women in my family, it's time to get married. It's time, it's time for you to have a husband. I said, I don't want to get sick. I don't want to get sick messing with these men. I don't want to get siphoned. Because that's the reality that our parents never taught us because they couldn't see that's why they're sick. They couldn't see the energetics of a relationship. They couldn't see the spirituality behind contracts or agreements, sacred relationships, because they're not sacred in their relationships. If you're here today with a free mind and free heart, you understand that you're sacred and your relationships with others are sacred. Nobody can define that. How do you escape the trad wife matrix? I recommend you get into a place of where you think about if you want to get married, what if it's different than what you've ever seen? What if marriage to you looks like getting in a red dress, and having something private in the middle of a jungle with no minister? What if that's your marriage? What if you have a concept of you're a woman and you want to marry another woman, and you guys go, to the first place you met and say a sacred contract between you and maybe another female minister and consecrate your marriage that way? What if you get into a marriage but you never legally sign court papers? We don't think like that, and it's not respected and it's not praised. So you also have to stop being around people that are going to limit your powerful mind. That's what I had to do to break free from a lot of family, because I'm not what they want me to be, and they won't celebrate me authentically because they don't know that side of me, and it makes them uncomfortable. The free thought, the free thinker of the family will always make people uncomfortable because we hold up mirrors, and it makes people have to look at themselves, to look at their shadow, and to question how they're living. And a lot of us are ego driven, so it's offensive to have the free thinker around. It's offensive to have, so we have the trad wife archetype and we've got the free thinker archetype. That's who we are. We're both, some of us. We're both. But the free thinker comes along and says, "No, I don't have the blood type to clock into work every day." Say, "Oh, but I clock in every day," and they resent and they hate. Instead of saying, "I really don't want to clock in every day. How the heck do I get myself out of this?" It's hate for the free thinker. It's hatred, it's resentment, it's egotistical. "Oh, you can see spirits in the room? I don't know about that one because I can't see spirits in the room because I don't believe in it." Okay? People cannot think for themselves, and that's what you don't want. You want to be a free thinker. Join me on the journey with JoJo. I'll teach you how to connect with spirit, read energy in a room, remotely view, read sacred contracts, connect with your spirit guides. These are your keys to how do you escape the trad wife matrix. You break free from everything that these men are telling you not to do. You don't rush into the marriages. You don't just rush and just date any, Joe Schmo that comes by and says, "I love you," or that you're pretty. You make them work. You make them show you that they are a free thinker, because you don't want to get that stank of energy in your space, the spiritual attachments that they can't see they have. And they'll come with their Bibles and you say, "Oh, well, this is what he says a possessed woman looks like. This is what he says a witch looks like. This is what he says." And so because of this is Jezebel. It's just like insane. It's insane. Don't be that way. You write the word. You channel the word of God, the goddess. That's how you escape the trad wife matrix. Okay. You become a free thinker and you allow yourself to say, "I'm a free thinker." And guess what? When I have kids, I'm going to be making everything from scratch. I'm more of a submissive person in a relationship. But guess what? I've got this business and that business, and I'm creating this other one too. And I'm out here and I'm public. I got my radio show, my TV show, da 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 da. List goes on. My books. I'm not just stuck at home. I'm not just one title. I'm not just a wife. Just like I'm not just a sister and a daughter, not just a niece, not just a mystic, not just a healer. This is the law of detachment, one of the most beautiful Buddhist principles that I love and I live by. It's like part of my religion. There's a free mind is my religion, and the law of detachment comes with it because none of this is real. This is temporal. It's temporary. It's a third dimensional construct with all of these different matrices as guidelines and lenses on how we're told we should live, think, behave, and be. And a lot of these constructs really feed the limiting of power of women and feed consumerism, okay? And the religions fuel wars and separations. And like I said, we're seeing the last hurrah of how they're trying to use this to limit our rights. But this is the way it's always been. So how do you escape the trad wife matrix? You wake up. You wake up and you stop feeling sorry for yourself and you begin to learn and develop your spirituality. That's what you do. You invest in your spiritual development. That's what you do. You learn how to have a free mind and free heart. That's what you do. And then you can hear again. And then you can see again. Not from your eyes or your ears, but your spiritual ones, your senses. That'll never misguide you. And that's your biggest tool. That's your biggest key to escaping the trad wife matrix. Because from that state, you can then hear the guidance from spirit, your soul, your angels, and they will never misguide you. You can stay aligned with your life contract, your soul's mission and purpose, and that will never fade. In the midst of the storm, you're focused on the mission. Okay? That's how you escape. Understand that the matriarch is spiritual. She's a mystic. She heals. She channels. She cooks. She cleans. She does it all. I have on my phone the goddess, on my background, the goddess Lakshmi. Sometimes I'll have Kali up there, Kuan Yin, Yama. But a lot of these goddesses you see with all of these different hands, right? Almost like a spider, represents an omnipresence. It represents, if you have many hands, you can do many things. You can wear many hats, okay? You can put many identities on. Focus on that. Focus on the goddess. Focus on the evolution of your mind. And then from there, you know exactly what you're meant to do for a career. You know exactly how you want to live in your free time, your leisure, and for work. You know exactly what you want to do, how you want to serve more deeply and authentically. Okay? So that's how you escape the trad wife matrix, and we stop promoting it. We stop telling little girls, what do you want to be when you grow up? What's your husband going to look like? We stop celebrating the ones that are just doing what they're told. I mean, celebrate them, but start celebrating the free thinkers. That's how we change the collective mind. Okay? Think for yourself, and I'd love to work with you. Again, my name is Psychic Medium Jojo Empathic. You can book with me at jojoempathic.com. I want to hear from you after this with a replay. Drop a comment. Let me know what your thoughts are. And if you want me to keep speaking on this concept, have a great day. Namaste.